A lot of people might look at some really shitty art and call it art, and then some people might look at that particular art and just praise that art and see the meaning in that art. And art is only as good as the interpretation behind it. That is, an art is only as good as the story that is behind that particular piece. Hello everyone and welcome back to our YouTube channel. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about an insecurity that a lot of photographers often face, and it's the big question of, am I worth the money I'm paid? That is that imposter syndrome, that is, am I good enough? Hello everyone and welcome back to our YouTube channel. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about a huge insecurity amongst photographers and videographers and creatives in general, and that is the big question, which is am I good enough? So a lot of times, because of the pressure of social media, we have a lot of photographers being really scared to share images that they feel so strongly about and that they carefully created, because they are scared of the acceptance of that particular image and acceptance in general to their art. So basically, photography is a creative art. It's the creative art of capturing images and telling stories with those images. So first of all, art is subjective. So whatever art you're looking at, a lot of people might look at some really shitty art and call it art, and then I just call this shitty, but then some people might look at that particular art and just praise that art and see the meaning in that art. So an art is only as good as the interpretation behind it. That is, an art is only as good as the story that is behind that particular piece. So the question is, am I good enough? So a lot of times photographers have this imposter syndrome where they feel like, am I good enough? Am I worth the pay? Am I worth the amount I'm charging? So first of all, what we would say is, you are good enough, and if you don't feel good enough, work on yourself to be good enough. So first of all, we are in the age of social media where the validation for you being good enough as a photographer or as a creative in general comes from the number of likes and comments that you get on your social media, which does not translate into good art, because we see a lot of really crappy pictures, I would say, or not so good enough pictures, not so good pictures that are getting like really good traction on social media. But this is because the person or the people behind that social media handle are able to understand the workings of social media so as to make any content they put out go viral. That is the reality of our present day. So you have very good photographers putting out really good art, putting out really good works, and then getting like really low visibility. So this is like a huge problem in the creative space, and it just brings up this question most of the time, am I good enough? Well, you are actually good enough. If you're not good enough, you have to work to be good enough. And how can you be good enough? You work, you take master classes, YouTube is your best friend. Actually, you go on YouTube, source for materials and watch and practice and practice. So one thing is, the moment you do a particular activity repeatedly and you manage to achieve consistency with that particular activity, you start being good, even though you start really slow and you don't have basic knowledge, or you don't know how to translate the ideas in your head into the masterpiece that you want to create. First of all, you just first have to start creating those crappy images first of all, and then you would learn on the job. Learning on the job does not mean you taking a job from a client to learn. You can actually learn with family, friends. There are different people you can learn from. Models, you can use models. Actually, the best way to do is just learn with anyone around you, basically anyone. Some people start with shooting flowers, some people start with shooting and they've gone on to do like really incredible stuff. So consistency is a very big key in being good enough. But if you know you're good enough, first of all, you would know you're good enough. Because if you're not good enough, except you don't have conscience, or you'd automatically just know that, okay, I'm good enough and this work is good enough. But the idea that social media keeps plaguing us with is, if your art or if your pictures is not getting enough traction on social media, you're not good enough. You're actually good enough, but you just need to understand how social media works. I feel like social media is an ever changing scene that you always have to acquaint yourself with, and if you're not careful, you get left behind. So actually, it's a very important aspect. It shouldn't be the only aspect that a lot of creatives pay attention to, because that is what we see in recent time. People pay more attention to the reels and whatever they are making, and then pay less attention to the art and the story behind every particular image. You are an artist and not a content creator. This is not a shade on content creators. They are very brilliant people who have managed to understand the algorithm of whatever app that they are using, and then they maximize it to make money out of it. And that is so beautiful. I've worked with a couple of them that are fantastic. Their ideas are mind-blowing, and you should check them out. They are very good. But you should understand as a photographer that your job is actually to tell a story with every single image. With every single image that you put out there, someone should be able to deduce a story from that particular image, and not just bringing any image and just putting it out there for people to just make whatever. And if they are not able to make anything out of the image, yeah, well, it's just a nice image. It has blurry background, it has a very good depth of field and all, but that is not the essence of photography as an art. We are big on storytelling, so for every image we actually put out, we want a story behind it. We want it to be able to pass a message, whether it be a sad message, a happy message, a message of love. You can tell so many different messages, and there are a lot of stories that are hanging everywhere, waiting just to be shot by a photographer, by eyes that see. So you always have to have like really good sight and understand how to tell stories. So we're saying this to say you are actually good enough as an artist, as a photographer, but all you just need to do is you just need to understand the workings of social media to get your work to the right audience. Because if you're shooting the right and the best stuff and you're not pushing it to the right audience, you're not going to get adequately compensated for your level of knowledge. So whoever you are and whatever level of knowledge you have, it does not automatically translate into you making money off your art. So you should actually put your pictures in front of the right audience. And also, it's not only about money. I know money is a very key part of it, because a lot of people are motivated by money, but then the joy of making art. So first of all, you have to put your art in front of people who appreciate your art. So you can't put your art in front of people who just they don't appreciate your art. So if you put your art in front of people who will just look at them and they would not even pay attention to like the key details and all, you're not being effective as an artist. So you have to put those images in front of people who would love to buy those images, who would love to see those images, who those images resonate with. So that is the core of being an artist. That is the joy of being an artist or a photographer, or both. Actually, a photographer is an artist. So yeah, don't argue with me. A photographer is an artist. So it is important for you to put your content out there to reach the right audience. So yes, you're good enough. You are good enough, but you always have to find ways to get better. So if you have that feeling of, am I good enough? Because maybe you're not getting enough social media traction, or maybe you're not getting enough clients, what you should do at that particular point is not to be downcasted and stop creating. So your response to all this is you have to keep creating to get better at what you do. For us, what we believe is there's always a better level to do anything we're doing. So whatever image you see on our page that you feel like this image is exceptional, this image is it, this image is as Nigerians will say, a banger. So if you see any of those images on our page, we always believe that there's a better way that image could have been shot. So we always, whenever we go through our images, we always look at those images to understand what we could have done better and what we would do better when we are in that particular scenario. So whenever you have that feeling of, am I good enough, your first response to that would be getting better at whatever you do. You might be great, but there's still another level that you can do it, that you can operate on. So always strive to be better. Always strive to be the best version of the artist that you are. So whenever you create an art, always make sure to create something better than what you did yesterday and the day before and the day before that. So that is what it automatically just makes you add more value, and then you can get more compensation for the value you're adding to yourself every single day. So the point we're trying to drive with this is strive to be a better version of yourself as an artist, to not have that imposter syndrome. So I feel like that question always comes up whenever you are faced with maybe a challenge in having to push your business to a new clientele or to a new client base, or maybe in a new environment. But you should always, as an artist, identify your value. That is, you should always know your value as an artist. You should always, as an artist, understand your value so as to get adequate compensation for the value you give. But then it is also very important for you to get better at doing whatever art or whatever form of art you're doing. So for any time this question pops up in your head, am I good enough? Yes, you're good enough. Can you be better? Yes, you can be better. So always strive to be better. So if you did a particular task, or if you did a particular art, or you took a particular image, and that image is, you really love that image, always strive to do something better the next time you get to shoot. You shooting the same thing is not you growing. So, and if you're not growing, you're dying. So whatever is not growing is actually on its way to death, or actually on its way to you're dying. So always keep creating, always keep getting better at what you do, and would leave you with this: constantly or consistently doing the same mediocre thing would only get you very efficient at doing that mediocre stuff. You always have to strive to be better, to be a better version of yourself as an artist, as whoever you are, to be able to communicate more value. So whenever you're booking me as a photographer, if you're booking me today and I'm delivering a particular value to you, the next time you're booking me, you should be able to get 10 times that value from me. So yes, you're good enough, but you can be better. Thank you so much for staying to the end, and please support us by subscribing to the channel and liking this video. Kindly share and drop a comment in the comment section. Let us know the kind of video you want to see, you want us to put out for our next video. Thank you so much, and see you in the next one.